Welcome back to Athletic Director U. We are here in Orlando at the 2023 NACDA convention. I am so excited to be joined by this panel of rock stars in college athletics. We have Janet Cohn, Director of Athletics at UNC Asheville, Tim Walsh, Managing Director at Huron, and Kevin White, Vice President and Director of Athletics Emeritus at Duke. Thank you all for joining us and for being here at NACDA.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you.
Well, we're here today to talk about UNC Asheville's new strategic plan. So let's start with the story. Janet, why did you decide to tap into the expertise of Huron to start the process of this strategic plan?
That's a great question, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due. We actually had a group of us at UNC Asheville to decide this, and kind of go back a little bit. Huron was presenting at a conference, and our university's vice chancellor for finance heard this presentation, came back to campus and said, Janet, how would you like to Zoom with this group? This may be something that we've been looking for that could really help our university. So our connection with Huron really started as the university finding something that could help us really bring athletics to the forefront.
I love that this is really speaks to the alignment between the campus side and the athletics side. Tim, tell me the story of the creation of this relationship from your perspective.
Yeah, it started with the university, as Janet said, but it transitioned quickly into something that was going to be beneficial to both. The athletic department certainly as a primary storyteller about its values, about its opportunities, about its necessary investments, but then the understanding that everything that accrued to athletics would ultimately accrue to the university level and benefit them. And there was fabulous discussions about that mutually beneficial structure of the engagement. And so we had a heavy influence from the university side throughout. They were at the table for most of our primary discussions in the project, and then constant leadership and guidance from Janet and her team as we tried to refine the observations that we had and develop a clear list of priorities that they could act upon in the years ahead.
Kevin, why is it so important and invaluable to be able to have this kind of alignment and this connection between campus and athletics?
Well, Stephanie, it's critically important. University of North Carolina in Asheville is dependent on the visibility that athletics provides them, the vibe it creates, the connectivity to the immediate community, if not the region, and the whole deal here is Huron's been great, and I'm a very proud participant in the Huron group, and Tim is our head coach, and he's here with us. But at the end of the day, this story is about Janet. I mean, no, Janet's you called her a rock star in the beginning, rock star on steroids. I mean, hey, this woman's a loaves and fishes administrator. She somehow takes $1 and makes it tenfold. I never seen anything like it. Most inspirational leader in college athletics, right here, Janet.
Wow, thank you so much. That's
true.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. But that's really why we needed to connect with Huron. We had gotten to a point as a university, we value athletics and what it can do for the university, what it does for our community. And, not to forget the student-athlete experience. As Kevin says so many times, we're still part of the academic community, and that's our number one. But we had come to a point as a university, what could we do to help us maybe be a little bit better? And maybe we need some outside eyes to take a look at us. Thus, we get with Tim, and it really has made a huge difference, even this year.
Why was this sort of self-assessment necessary at the time that you did connect with and engage Huron?
Well, I think it was necessary because we really wanted to bring together not only our university's senior staff, our faculty, our staff, our athletic department, but all of our boards, the Board of Trustees, our Bulldog Athletic Association. And sometimes it's really better for someone outside to say what we might kind of know, they might say it in a different way. Plus, for a small athletic department like ours in a university, we could not do the analytics that they offer. And that was really key, because people really want to have outcome-driven model. And what's your value and how are you doing that? And I think that's where Huron stepped in and really, head coach hit a home run.
Well, I would only add on, one of the things we talked about early on is we would deliver volume and volumes and volumes of data and analytics to support their storytelling. And then the key is whoever gets to tell the story, in this case, Janet, for the most part, at times can pull out whichever card from that deck she needs to make a specific point. And it's objective and it's distanced, but it's supportive of what she's trying to deliver and what she's trying to get in return from that person on the other side of that conversation. And our hope is that will benefit them for years and years to come as they continue to tell the story in ways that really compels people to support them in the way they need it.
And I think that was a key deliverable, because this document's 90-some pages, but we got an executive summary. And I've been able, my team, we've used it just recently with a donor. We had $1 million challenge gift. We shared this document, the big version, with the donors and said, here's some gaps. Here's what we're trying to do. You love athletics. You think we're important to the university. And I'm convinced that was one of the factors that helped them step up and do more than they had in the past.
Kevin, how has data really changed the game when it comes to strategic planning and planning out for the future?
It's changed all games, Stephanie. I mean, I think we know that. It's amazing. And it really started at the professional level, and now it's found its way into college athletics. And very soon it'll be at the secondary school level, if it isn't there already. But data is the key. For Janet to kind of harvest, a really good set of data and the formatting of data. But then she became the ultimate storyteller and turned all of that data into some pretty darn good gifts, pretty sizable gifts right out of the, right in terms of execution, right out of the collection of data. That's the key to this whole thing, to utilize it well. And Janet has all the connections in that community. I mean, when you're up there, you're like with Bono. I mean, this woman knows everybody and they all know her and they love her. I mean, Janet epitomizes, I think, all the inspirational elements within a great leader.
Wow, you're embarrassing.
No, it's true.
But back to this, and this is a key, I think, on a deliverable. Lots of people can generate the analytics and the data, but you have to have it in a form that a head coach can understand, but also a member of your board of trustees who's run a Fortune 500 company. And I think that is the beauty of what we got delivered in this past fall, this report about our gap analysis. That is so flexible that we can use it in those situations.
Well, taking a step back, what sort of analysis were conducted, Tim, from your team?
Well, there's, as we mentioned, lots of them. And it takes a while to filter through them and really pull the ones that matter at any given moment. I would say the most impactful ones for a place like Asheville are ones that demonstrate the level of investment that's necessary to create sustained success at not just the individual program level, but also the department level, and be able to tell that story of what those gaps are, where they exist, and how that informs your investments in the future. Because that compels them to bring the resources necessary to create that sustained success that everybody wants for the university and within athletics. And so that to me is the most powerful, because we can take data from those peers and form it and shape it in a way that really tells the true story about where Asheville is today and what they can expect in the future. Kevin always uses a great analogy about that he borrowed from Wayne Gretzky about not just skating to the current spot, but skating to where the puck is going to be in the future. That's what we try to do, is help our clients understand their competitive environment, not just today, but 5 years from now, and then help them get there faster so that they can create a competitive advantage.
It's vibrant, it's fluid, and it's ever changing. And so to kind of catch up to your cohort or your peers at the moment isn't the end game. The end game is to get to where they're going to be in 3, 4, 5 years, and to have that kind of an anticipatory project that takes you to that place.
And Kevin mentioned the word peers. I think for a mid-major like us, if we said the gap analysis between us and some Power 5, they're not going to listen. Taking your peers and doing those comparisons, and so when you come back to your campus and your donors, the gap is something that you actually can achieve. It is not so big where they're going, well, this is a great report. And the gap is done so that you can take different parts of it depending on what your priorities are. So I thought that was a great delivery.
Thank you.
Was there any pushback or even hesitation when you received this data, received these deliverables, saw some of the gaps and what it would take to get there? and maybe say, whoa, wait a minute, we can't do this? So did you have to have any conversations with your team, with donors, with other constituents about, hey, let's believe in this, let's trust the process?
Well, I think the way they avoided that is they had people involved from day one.
Yes.
And we had a team.
No
we
surprises.
Didn't just have these two guys. We had a team. I mean, we felt like we were a Power 5 school. We had this whole team on our campus, lots of conversations. So we were getting that feedback along the way, which is also how we kind of transitioned into the strategic plan, because you had this great document. And so I think that was one of the other things that we did along the way that made a lot of sense.
So shifting gears to the strategic plan, it is the Dream Bigger, Achieve More strategic plan. Give us some insight into what this plan means for the Bulldogs.
Well, it actually, like I said, we knew we were going to have to do a strategic plan because ours was ending. Once we got the original gap analysis, it became very clear that our strategic plan should really come out of that. We invested this money. It was a great investment. So how are we going to use this? So once again, we said to Huron, hey, how about a little more work with us? And that it saved us time too, a lot of time, and saved us a lot of buy-in. And so we looked at the gap analysis, the report, and said, what are 5 priority areas that we actually can tackle over the next 2 to 3 years? And, obviously the student-athlete holistic experience tied in beautifully with the NCAA transformation report, competitive excellence, a culture of distinction, because we really believe at a place like UNC Asheville, within this whole Division I, that we can do our thing in a distinctive way. We don't have to be like everybody else. And then so, we had these areas, facilities and new revenue generation, and then of course, our inclusion is part of all this. So we tied in 5 key areas that we're actually going to work towards, and have already started, to tell you the truth.
What was the process for transitioning from this data, this gap analysis, these deliverables to the strategic planning process from the Huron perspective?
Well, I'll start now, hand it over to Kevin. I think the most important piece is the prioritization of the opportunities that emerge from that gap analysis, because there's so many there typically. You got to select the ones that are most important to your local environment. And I think a key phrase that Janet used early in the process with their team as she transitioned to strategic planning was to keep things authentic to Asheville, that it was going to be familiar to their team, familiar to the university, familiar to their donors, because it was going to be in the tone that they're accustomed to in that local environment. It was fabulous. And of course, no one knows it better than Janet. So the reality that we were able to create a document that reflects Asheville at its heart and soul, and articulate those priorities that came out of that work that was objectively done, I think became a great combination and something that's going to be a really powerful tool for them in the future. But again, it's got to start with prioritization, because if you have too many things going on, you're not going to get any done. And she did a masterful job, I think, of filtering out the most impactful.
Stephanie, if I might add, you can identify what you'd like to do if you had resources, and you have the opportunity in terms of resource acquisition to bring external resources into the game, and or to move some resources around internally within your institution. But you've got to make the right bets. And so that to have all of those numbers in front of you and giving you every opportunity to be successful, wherein maybe you're under-resourcing and you have an opportunity to have the game-changing moment, where do you best invest those resources? And so making the right bets, I think, is a pretty significant piece of this puzzle.
Well, and one other thing about the strategic plan that I really like, we obviously released this, what we call the external version. There's an internal version, because I'm a former coach. I'm about getting things done. What's the game plan? The internal version actually has a lot of outcome-driven metrics that my team, and I got to say, y'all, you're giving me way too many kudos. My team is really have bought into this. So each of them, they know ultimately it's going to be done through teamwork, but each of them have responsibilities and achievable, measurable outcomes. So when I have my meeting, like I did this morning, a little catch-up meeting with my team, we're using that strategic plan and that matrix of, okay, what are we doing today about this? And here's a simple one that we came up with. We wanted to implement a survey, a departmental survey, to kind of get a feed of, what's our climate like? Do you like working here? What's our challenges? So without me getting involved, a couple of my great rising stars, they develop a survey, so we'll send that out. So that's in the strategic plan. It's something we can do that will make us better. And so I really like that part of our strategic plan. There's things that we can do today, tomorrow. There's some things that are going to take a little bit longer, but that's a simple example of how this is working.
How did you go about achieving that buy-in from your team when you received Huron's data, this analysis, and again, these recommendations for the strategic plan?
Well, obviously, you've got to listen to your team because they're going to do the work. I mean, we might lead them, but they're going to do the work. And once again, I go back from the first day that we decided we were going to get on Huron's team, and they were going to get on. By the way, they wear Bulldog blue when they come to our place.
They know.
We had so many of the staff members involved from day one. So they've been part of this process. So it really is, it's our report, our strategic plan. And it doesn't mean that we haven't questioned things and it's a living document. Lots of people say that about ours. Really is, because they didn't just send me a PDF version. I got a Word version so that I can go in and change and prioritize. Well, this is a little more important today because someone just gave us this major gift, so we might be able to do this sooner than later. So I think this is a strategic plan that really is one that can endure for us and get us through this next 2 or 3 years.
Kevin, I'm pretty sure that you've done your fair share of strategic planning in your career. What was this process like for you to be part of Huron's team supporting Janet and the Bulldogs?
I've enjoyed every one of our projects, and I've probably been involved in about 10 projects to date, but I don't know that I've enjoyed any project at any point in my career more than Janet's project. Give me an opportunity. We were on the NCAA men's basketball committee together, so we have history. And this woman is exceptional. You've got 21,000 people that are members of NACDA, and there are a lot of really good leaders in this building right here. I don't know how many are here at this convention, but it's a big number. This woman's unique. I mean, I heard her say she used to be a coach. She is a coach. She coaches the city of Asheville. She coaches her university. She coaches her athletics department. And she coaches all her head coaches. I think it was an inspirational opportunity for me to get close to Janet through the process. I enjoyed every second of it.
And I want to bring something else. You're a former student athlete, and one other aspect of this is kind of unique. Our student athletes are involved in this. It's all the way to, they know our mission, they know our vision, our core values, and the priorities, because that way we have buy-in to what they think is important too. So I don't want to leave out that's the most important group, that we're working for that student athlete experience, and we feel like the work we've had for this past year is setting us up for some really great success in the future.
And if I may, to use a bad cliche, it does take a village to facilitate significant change, and the culture at Asheville is village-like. And that's fun. It was fun for all of us at Huron, I would say that.
How did this collaboration with Huron bring and provide value to your athletic department?
Well, it brought value in the fact that starting at the top, our chancellor and our senior team, it really kind of was sort of like the seal of approval, because Huron, I can say it all I want to say it, and they believe it, but have an outside group come in and kind of line you up and say, yes, y'all are doing some great things, but you can do better things, and you can have sustainable success. And so the value is that I have this team behind, and they're still helping us. So I think when, the value is I've got somebody I can reach out to if something comes up, because they know us and they don't work in the athletic department, so they can tell me what I need to hear or what the chancellor needs to hear, not what we want to hear. And I think that's a value that's unbelievable. And one other thing I want to say to this, because there's probably a lot of mid-major universities, and they're like, well, we can't afford that. This is for, and I'm saying you cannot afford not to find Huron or someone in this day and age to help us. And that probably to me was the best value, is I felt like, I was getting this team of people that are really going to help us not only today, but as we go forward. And they're cheering us on. I love that.
Well said by a Loaves and Fishes leader. That's what she is. I've never seen anybody maximize resources like this woman.
Dream bigger, achieve more is the strategic plan. Thanks to Huron for being part of the process, for kicking it off, and for providing you with all of the data that you need to bring this to life. Tim, Janet, Kevin, thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.